Hey guys, welcome to my newest video for today. For today's video I'm going to be doing the second part of my October 2017 movie wrap-up, and this part is going to be what I watched for 31 Days of Horror. I was able to do 31 horror films throughout the month, so I just averaged one horror movie a day, so I was pretty happy with what I ended up watching for the most part. There was a couple of films in there that were a bit questionable, but anyway, I'm just going to get straight into it because this is my second attempt at filming and the first time I got interrupted, so I've decided that I'm just going to quickly go through the order that I watched the films in rather than my usual wrap-up method, so I'm just going to get straight into it. So I started off 31 Days of Horror with The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love this movie. It was I only watched it for the first time last year, and it's like one of my favourite holiday movies, and yeah, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and of course I'll be rewatching it over Christmas, so that's that one. And then on the next one I watched was the start of my series watching, because I watched a few franchises this past month, and I started off with Underworld because it had been years since I've seen the very early Underworld films, and like we're going back to like 2011 since I last saw them, and so I started with, of course, the first Underworld film, and I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. Then the next one is a first time viewing for me, and that was The Blair Witch Project. Yes, it's taken me this long to finally sit down and watch The Blair Witch Project. I mean, obviously I knew a little bit about it, but like I didn't really know really what like I knew it was a found footage film and that, and it was quite popular at the time that it was released. So, but yeah, I thought this was okay. It was I liked the documentary style format for the found footage, and yeah, it was pretty like decent, I thought, so I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I watched Underworld Evolution. I remember when I first watched this one that I really liked Underworld Evolution, like it was my favourite of the sequels, but then on rewatch it didn't hold up as well, and I ended up giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, it's not my favourite of the sequels now, so it's so I found that very interesting, sort of rewatching it, and it's not sort of like living up to like my memories of when I first watched the film. So anyway, then we got to one of my favourite movies that I watched for the first time this month, and that was What We Do in the Shadows. I absolutely loved this movie. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. It was just, yeah, I don't know, I just thought it was such an interesting like story, like a documentary about a group of vampires living in New Zealand, and yeah, I just loved it. I loved the humour. It was like a very quirky, yeah, just very quirky, and I really liked it, because of course obviously one of the directors, I can't pronounce his name, the guy who directed the new Saw film, he directed this, and yeah, I just loved it. Yeah, again, 5 out of 5 stars. Then it was Underworld Rise of the Lycans. When I first watched this movie, I thought, you know, I didn't, because a lot of people hated on this film, and I didn't hate it as much as what a lot of people seem to, but when I was rewatching it, I thought, this movie is really pointless. Like, it wasn't bad, but it just, I felt, didn't really add anything to the whole, like, mythology of this universe, like with the Underworld series, so it was okay, so I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. Then another like Halloween favourite, Little Shop of Horrors, love this, 5 out of 5 stars. I always watch the director's cut when I watch this one, just because that, I mean, I was first exposed to this via the theatrical cut, but since I've gotten the Blu-ray, I always watch the director's cut, because that's how it ends, like the actual stage show ends, so it's a lot closer to the ending of the stage show. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love it. It's great. And then I watched Underworld Awakening. Again, another one that like another sequel that a lot of people don't seem to like. I think it's okay. It's, again, not the greatest sequel, but I still gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's entertaining for what it is, so. And then I had another first time viewing and I watched Bait, because this one's sort of been one I've been meaning to check out, because it's an Australian like shark attack horror film, and I actually really like The Reef, which is a film I never got around to watching this past October. But yeah, it was okay. It's sort of in the middle of the road in terms of shark attack movies, because you either seem to get your good quality films like Jaws, and then you get really crap shark attack movies like Sharknado, so you don't really seem to win. But Bait was okay, but you could tell half the cast was just there for the paycheck, so I gave that one 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I finished off my Underworld rewatch with Underworld Blood Wars. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. It is actually my favourite of the sequels. I do actually really enjoy it. It's nowhere near as good as the first one, but I think it is a step up above like the previous sequels, so I do quite enjoy that one. And then another first time viewing was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I gave this one 3.5 out of 5 stars. I just had such a blast with this movie. Like, it's incredibly cheesy. I mean, I knew it would be cheesy based on the title, but I didn't realize just how cheesy it was, but it was cheesy in a good way, so yeah, really happy I watched that one, because I just had such a fun time watching. And then I kickstarted a rewatch of the Resident Evil series, and for this one, because I only rewatched the films last year, and I'm finding that there's not a series that I need to rewatch every, like, year. So, yeah, my enjoyment of them has definitely lessened. I mean, they're okay, like, popcorny type films to watch and, leave your brain at the door, but, yeah, not a series that I've in a hurry to actually rewatch for a while. So yeah, I watched the first Resident Evil, 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, like, it's okay, but not that great. And then another first time viewing, I watched Mama, which is a film I've had basically since it came out on Blu-ray. I was very disappointed in this one. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's very atmospheric, but the actual plot itself and the characters I really couldn't get into, and I didn't really care about any of the characters or what was going to happen to them, and yeah, so yeah, that's a bit disappointing, because I was looking forward to this one. So yeah, that was 3 out of 5 stars. Then I rewatched Resident Evil Apocalypse. This is actually my favourite of the Resident Evil series, so I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I think I've always liked the second one. So then another rewatch, and that was Sleepy Hollow. It's been a few years since I've seen it, and yeah, this is such a great film. 4.5 out of 5 stars. I love Johnny Depp as Ichabod Crane, and yeah, and one thing I will say, I actually forgot how great the supporting cast is in this. It's like, there's a lot of names and people I recognized in this one, so I was sort of like, oh yeah, I forgot they were in this. So but yeah, so that was Sleepy Hollow. And then rewatched Resident Evil Extinction. Again, okay, 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I rewatched Unfriended, which I know a lot of people don't like, but I think in terms of the more recent found footage, like horror movies, I think this is one of the better ones. It's very creepy, and it's sort of like, for taking place entirely over social media, I thought it was really well done. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I quite like it, because I think I also like it because the like, the imagery is very subtle. Like, you don't really know what's going on. And then one thing I will say, I think there was a point towards the end where it would have been a perfect ending, but like, I think the last sort of 2 seconds was sort of unnecessary, but I still like this one a lot. So yeah, and then I rewatched Resident Evil Afterlife, again 3.5 out of 5 stars. Then I watched The Cabin in the Woods. This is, yeah, one of my favourite movies to rewatch every October. I just love it. It's sort of, I love the whole turning the trope, like the typical teenage horror slasher on its head. Yeah, it's just got, yeah, I love the humour. I just, yeah, love this movie. So 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then rewatch Resident Evil Retribution, again 3.5 out of 5 stars. And then I went again to another favourite to watch this time of year, and that was Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Love this. I love my musicals, and it seems I also love a lot of horror musicals. So Sweeney Todd gets 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then I finished off the Resident Evil rewatch with Resident Evil The Final Chapter, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah, the franchise for me, it wasn't as fun on a rewatch as I think I definitely need to give the series a bit of space. So, oh well, I'll probably rewatch it again in a few years, but I don't see myself rewatching it anytime soon. So the next one that I watched was Lights Out, which was a horror film from last year. It was okay. I mean, it wasn't like bad or anything, and I appreciated that they were trying to do an original like idea with the lights, and that I thought that was quite effective. But if I'm being honest, it was the characters overall who, like, they weren't engaging enough with the plot. Like, you didn't care about their backstory, and yeah, like, you were sort of meant to care that they were going through all this stuff, and like, especially with the mother, but yeah, we didn't really, I think the characters could have been a bit more fleshed out, but yeah, like, the basic story was fine, but yeah, the characters, yeah, they were a bit so I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. And then I started a Ghostbusters rewatch, and of course watched the first Ghostbusters movie, which is 4.5 out of 5 stars. I just have such a fun time watching this movie. Yeah, I just love it. It's definitely my favourite of the Ghostbusters films, but yeah, it's just so quotable, and it's such an easy watch, especially for this time of year. So yeah, and then I rewatched The Shallows, which I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is an okay movie. Like, it's a decent shark attack film. Blake Lively really carries the film well, considering it's essentially her character for most of the movie. But one thing I will say is, I didn't realize just how bad the CGI was in this movie, especially with the shark. So that was entertaining at the end there. So, but yeah, it's a decent rewatch. So, and then I rewatched Ghostbusters 2. Not as good as the first one. It has its moments, but it's my least favorite of the Ghostbuster films. And then I watched another first time viewing, and that was Trick or Treat. I loved this movie. It was yeah, I'm surprised it actually took me so long to actually get around to it, because this movie's been going around basically since I started my YouTube channel, because a lot of people were talking about it, and I've only just seen it for the first time. But it's definitely going to be one that I rewatch every October, I think, because yeah, this was so atmospheric and creepy, and it actually went in like different directions that I wasn't expecting. So I thought, oh yeah, this is going to be a standard, typical, you know, like film, like, because it was sort of, it definitely followed a lot of tropes that like, you thought it was following the tropes you see in like a lot of typical Halloween movies, and then it just turned it on its head, and I was just like, wow, was not expecting that. So yeah, I gave Trick or Treat 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed that one. And then I finished off my Ghostbusters rewatch with the Ghostbusters from last year. I like this movie. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I enjoyed it when I saw it at the cinema, and I still enjoyed it on rewatch, and I gave Ghostbusters 4 out of 5 stars. It's not as good as the first one, but I enjoy it more than the second. So, and then we get to my most disappointing rewatch of October, and that was Van Helsing from 2004. I have seen this movie, but I remember enjoying it a hell of a lot more than what I did the first time around, because even though I can't remember if that was my first time or if watching it, but I know I did enjoy this film a lot at one point, and then like I rewatched it and I was just like, what the hell is this? This is so bad. And which really surprised me, because it seems like the type of movie I would normally enjoy. And then I got to the yeah, I just got to a point and I was like, you know what, I'm going to pull up the Movies in 15 Minutes parody version of this that Clea Linda Jones did, and I ended up just reading that while the movie was playing, and let me tell you, the parody was a lot more entertaining than what the movie ended up being. So I gave Van Helsing 2.5 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'll be rewatching it in the future. So, and then my last new to me film that I watched was Train to Busan, which I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. This is a Korean zombie horror film, and I really did enjoy this, but my issue, the reason I didn't give it a full 5 out of 5 stars was because I hated one of the characters that was in this movie. The character kept getting, a lot of my favourite characters kept like being responsible for getting them killed, and I was just like, stop killing my favourite characters. So, and yeah, he was definitely the one I wanted to die the most, and he just would not die, and I was like, why? So, he really, yeah, the character definitely lessened my enjoyment of this movie, but overall it was still a very effective zombie horror film, especially because actually out of all the supernatural creatures, like, zombies actually freaked me out the most. So that was probably because if there was ever an outbreak, I would be one of the first people to get killed, because I wouldn't survive a zombie apocalypse. I know that. It's like, so yeah, so zombies freaked me out, and so this film actually did was quite creepy in that effect as well. So that was Train to Busan, and then of course I finished off 31 Days of Horror with a classic horror film, at least for me, and that was the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Yeah, I can't say enough. I've wrote like what's already been said about Rocky Horror, but I love it. It's 5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, one again that I rewatch every Halloween. So but yeah, that is basically everything that I watched for 31 Days of Horror. It was definitely fun doing like one movie a day, but I'm definitely looking forward to going back to my regular schedule of watching like TV shows during the week and then watching movies on the weekend, just because yeah, I really feel that yeah, it's sort of like, just, I think I was watching like too many, like particularly because they're all, like, a lot of them were the same, obviously, genre. So I mean, I like horror movies, but I think, yeah, this is a bit sort of I'll be happy to go back to just regular movie watching, I think. So but yeah, I'm just going to stop it here. So thank you guys for watching, and until my next video, I will see you guys next time.